What's going on, everybody? Leigh Dickey here. Welcome back to Leigh Dickey Beats and Speaks. Today, I want to tell you guys about my first Tim Hortons experience in about 10 years. Yes, I stayed away from Canada's most well-known coffee chain for nearly a decade, and I'll tell you why. The whole thing starts about 9 or 10 years ago with me in college. So this is back a little ways. We're going back about a decade or so. And the life of a post-secondary student, whether it be college or university, is a ton of work and little time for play. Not much has changed in the near 10 years it's been since I graduated from college. But that's another story, and I digress. So I was living on coffee and ramen, much like everyone else, and that's still akin to me nowadays, but again, I digress. So the way I got off Tim Hortons was it made me sick, and it was the only option I had when I was in college to have like Tim Hortons, because there was no other, like the cafeteria coffee was worse than the Tim Hortons stuff that was there. And I bit the bullet. So I figured, okay, if I gotta suffer through this, then I'm gonna do it on bad Tim Hortons, because when you're a college student and you're broke, you make do with what you got. And unfortunately, like, the Tim Hortons stuff that we had when I was in college and university, it wasn't the greatest. Like, I'd take a sip, or I'd make it through maybe an ice cap or a cup of coffee, and I'd instantly feel sick. Like, I'd want to throw up. And the easiest thing for me to do, or the smart thing for me to do, would be to run to the nearest garbage can or find the nearest washroom, because I just 3, 2, 1 and hopefully I'd make the shot into the bowl, because it was terrible. I couldn't stand it, and there were times where I felt horrible, you know what I mean? And it's not a problem with the service I had, but it's a problem with the product. I don't know what was in the product that made me sick, but it was just, I can't do this anymore, because it's going to come up the way it went down. I'm going to puke. I'm going to throw up. And it's never a good thing. Well, it sucked, honestly, because, as a college and university student, you're running the candle at both ends, shall we say. You're staying up late to finish the assignments, or you're staying up late to party, and then you have to get up early to go to class. And there's not much time to rest. There's no time to break. So coffee it was, and the only option I had at the time was a Tim Hortons kiosk, if you will, that was smack dab in the middle of my college campus. There was a Starbucks, because we were on the campus of a university, but to get to that Starbucks, I had to walk across my college campus, walk across the university campus, find the Starbucks, and then walk back all that way to my college campus. And we've established this. Mobility and I don't get along so well, because I'm disabled, I have cerebral palsy, and walking long distances it's not favorable for me. It doesn't really end well. So I bit the bullet and had to go with Tim Hortons, as bad as it was, because I wasn't going to drink the school-made cafeteria coffee, because it was just terrible. Like, it was worse than the Tim Hortons, and it almost tasted like toilet water, let's say. It was just, it's coffee-flavored toilet water, But the Tim Hortons stuff, instantly, like, you'd get the jolt, but right after class, I'd want to throw up, or even in the middle of class, I'd want to throw up, and my stomach started to turn, and I didn't feel well. So I got off Tim Hortons the second I got out of college. It was just like, I can't do this anymore, because where I live in relation to where my college and university campus was, it's about 2 hours via public transit. Like, it's way out of the way. It's in the middle of nowhere, basically. It's the other end of the city. So the second I graduated, I was like, cool, I don't have to make the journey up here anymore, and I get to stay closer to home. So, I gotta find like a Tim Hortons substitute, because the Tim Hortons at my college campus made me so sick that I was like, I can't do this anymore. Whether it was an ice cap or a cup of coffee, I can't drink this stuff anymore. It's terrible. So that's when I basically switched to Starbucks, and the rest is history. I love this stuff, and although I haven't had a cup of coffee on a regular basis since like October, because I mean, who wants to stare at their ceiling till 3 a.m.? Because that's the stuff. That's what would make me stay up. You're counting the tiles on my popcorn ceiling till about 3 in the morning, and you just want to get to bed. But my first Tim Hortons experience in about, let's say since college, again, it wasn't the greatest. I mean, the service was amazing. The great people, really nice, really helpful. But the product itself, it just didn't agree with my stomach. I mean, granted, I haven't had a Tim Hortons anything for about 10 years. And I decided to go with a large ice cap, which I found out was a bad idea. Simply because, I guess a large is too ambitious. It was way too ambitious for me. Because I think in the 10 years it's been since I had anything from Tim Hortons, they changed the sizes. Like, they basically doubled in size. So the large had doubled in size. Everything had basically doubled in size. All their drink cups have pretty much grown and doubled in size. Which, and I was like, okay, whatever, I'll be fine. I got about halfway through that large ice cap, and my stomach started to turn. And I felt really sick. I started sweating, actually, because it's just like, oh, this is not good. And ironically, I'm just going to get off on a bit of a side note. Even as a substitute for, say, a coffee or anything, I will occasionally go to Real Fruit bubble tea for a strawberry smoothie. And in that mall that I was at, where I had my first Tim Hortons experience in about 10 years, there was a Real Fruit bubble tea. I should have gone with a Real Fruit strawberry smoothie from that place, but I didn't see it until after I sat down and had ordered the ice cap. So that was a misstep on my part. But, I don't know. That first Tim Hortons experience in about 10 years was just about the same as it was in college. I felt terrible. I felt sick. I wanted to throw up. And the room was spinning. I was sweating. It was just like, oh, I didn't have much. It was in a food court too. And I didn't really have much time to eat anything. So I just decided to get like the nearest thing to a coffee or a small pick-me-up that I could. And an ice cap was the closest option that I saw. I didn't see like I said, I didn't see the Real Fruit bubble tea over my shoulder. And that was a misstep on my part. But Tim Hortons, I don't know what it is. Maybe there's something in the coffee or in their ingredients that just doesn't agree with my stomach. And as such, I get sick and want to throw up and puke and all that sort of stuff. And basically look at my breakfast from earlier that day. But Tim Hortons and I, the product anyway, we just don't get along. I don't know. The service is great from what I could remember. And like that one time where it was the first experience in about 10 years, the service was great. They were very helpful. They were very nice. But when it comes to the product and myself, it just doesn't agree with my stomach. And instantly it starts to turn. I feel sick and I want to lay down or throw up, or it doesn't end well for me, that I find. And then I get home and you feel terrible for the rest of the day. It doesn't matter what time of day that I have the thing. I just feel terrible for the rest of the day into the evening. But that is the story of my first Tim Hortons experience in about 10 years. I hope you guys have had better experiences with Tim Hortons. If you have, post them in the comments below. Let me know how your experience with Tim Hortons has gone. So, thanks again for watching. I've been Leigh Dickey. This has been another video on Leigh Dickey Beats and Speaks. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe. And if you like what you see and hear, there will be more of these, so hang on tight, alright? I'm out of here. We'll talk later. Leigh Dickey signing off. Peace!